Money Radio, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. It's time to talk real estate with Laura Bramnick from TalkRealEstateAZ.com. TalkRealEstateAZ.com. Now, Laura is an attorney. She is also a real estate agent, and she represents clients for residential and commercial real estate, land transactions as well. Laura holds an active Arizona real estate license. She has worked in real estate in the mortgage industry, been a real estate investor, a certified instructor with the Arizona Department of Real Estate, and licensed through the State Bar of Arizona, specializing in real estate. For more info, or if you have questions about a real estate project, 480-624-2705. 480-624-2705. Or TalkRealEstateAZ.com.
That's the website.
And we even have some videos up there
Yes, we do. We have audio and video.
of our conversations.
Yes.
We've covered a lot of territory over the years.
Yes, we have.
A lot of good information, I think.
Yeah, we try to talk about things that are happening today, relevant, that property owners need to know, or potential property buyers.
And you were just telling me, and we'll talk about this today, contracts for deeds. This almost falls under the realm of alternative financing, I suppose.
Yes, and it is a form of financing to buy a home. And it's, for want of a better word, it's like the installment plan.
So this would be appropriate for some people who perhaps have bad credit or lost a home during the downturn, a way for them to get back into real estate without going the conventional mortgage route.
Yes, yeah. Also, a lot of tenants buy property this way. They know the property, they lived in the property, and they may have improved the property, even though they don't have to, and they decide they want to buy it, but maybe they can't qualify.
Right.
And so it's not a bad way to buy property as long as you understand the terms of the contract. And it's also called an agreement of sale, but it's a creative way to get a mortgage for a property.
Now, it's the installment plan, if you will, but what if somebody misses an installment payment?
Yeah, well, if you don't make your payments, you are at risk of losing the property and losing all the money you put into the property, because you don't get the title in your name until you've paid for the property in full.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, a lot of mortgages are 30 years, and
Sure.
so, that's where buyers of this type of, in this type of contract are vulnerable.
So you could go literally 29 years, have some hardship, and then whatever equity you would have had at that point, sorry.
Right. And so you have to have an exit plan when you get into this, meaning that if you've had a foreclosure or a short sale and you can't qualify for a traditional mortgage, or if you've been out of work for a while and need to get a job, this to me is a bridge type of a loan. Because over 20 or 30 years, whatever your loan is, it's usually not just a couple of years because you're buying property, which is expensive.
Right.
You want to have a plan to get out of this so that if something happens, you don't lose all of your equity.
So think of it as a stopgap or mezzanine financing, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah, or if you don't want to stay in the house a long time, because then you can figure out what you want to do in terms of staying in the house, not staying in the house, and also making sure that you understand what can happen if you don't make your payments. Now, these were very popular when the market crashed because, as you know, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac ended up taking back a whole bunch of homes.
Sure. And
People
then they sold
abandoned their
them.
homes, and they trashed their homes, or the other people went in a lot of squatters, a lot of people went in and took cabinets and copper piping and air
All sorts of
conditioners.
things. There's a lot of messed up houses at that point.
Yeah.
But they were sold at auction. People came in and some people were buying these up. And then what, they would then turn around and sell them with a contract for deed?
Yes, a lot of investors came in and bought these homes up in bulk. Some of them were able to buy directly from Fannie Mae, you know, at a huge discount.
And then the people living in the homes would fix them up,
Right,
but they don't really have equity because they don't have title.
correct. And that is the biggest issue, is that you pay this home, and you know, the longer you're in it, the more technically equity you would build, but that in effect doesn't happen. However, in Arizona, there is something called forfeiture, and that means that if you miss a payment, you can't just be evicted.
Okay.
It means that there's a legal process that the seller owner has to go through in order to get you out of the house, because Arizona recognizes that you have an equitable title.
So this is a little bit different than foreclosure. Is it more difficult to get someone out of a house in forfeiture than foreclosure?
No, actually it's easier, because in forfeiture, you don't necessarily get the amount of money that you put into the house. What you get is more time to pay up the back payments. So the longer you're in the property and have made the payments, the longer amount of time you have to make up the back payments. You know, so if you're in the property for a year, you may have 60 days. If you're in the property for 10 years, you may have 3 or 4 months.
And I would think that since this really should be thought of as a stopgap measure or a
Right.
stopgap form of financing, you would need to have the ability to prepay the entire amount if you got more conventional financing in place.
Yes. What you want to do is you want to make these payments through a servicing company. Because when you go to get a conventional loan, the underwriter will recognize that you've been making the payments, because there's a neutral third party that's licensed and regulated by the state that is taking your payments and then paying them to the owner.
Okay.
And so that's what you want to do, otherwise, because it won't show up on your credit report usually.
Right.
You know, so you have to have you almost have to have an exit plan when you enter into these types of contracts.
And if you don't have an exit plan, talk to Laura.
Yes.
You can help people develop an exit plan. You can also review that documentation, because it is a little bit outside of the standard boilerplate, and you want to make sure you get it right going in.
Yeah, especially if you have a company that's out of state, the out-of-state investor, where in other states they just can evict you.
Yeah.
Arizona has a separate process, and just because they tell you to get out doesn't mean you have to get out.
If a contract for deed is part of your next transaction or a previous transaction, Laura Bramnick may be able to help. 480-624-2705, 480-624-2705, and check out the website, talkrealestateaz.com. A lot of good information there. talkrealestateaz.com. Laura, as always, excellent info. Thank you.
Thank you.